Right, how many of you are in here because it's raining, and how many want it to be here? That's the first question. No? You were already here, weren't you? Well done. They want to be here. So, quick show of hands, who's got a dog? Ah, what a great audience. What a great audience. Who's faster than their dog? You're faster than your dog? You're faster than your dog? Not after that, you're not. Brilliant. Right, so nobody's faster than their dog. That's good to know. We'll remember that. Who's ever lost their dog? Anybody lost their dog? I have. Yeah. Well, no embarrassment. I have. So somebody's lost their dog. How did that make you feel? Awful. How long for? About 15 minutes. Horrific. Worst 15 minutes of your life, yeah? Yeah? I know. So, who knows someone who's lost their dog? Alan knows. Not many people know people who've lost their dogs. You know someone who's lost their dog, yeah? She lost it. Yeah, that one. That one. Class. So, how did you get them back? Sheer luck. Yeah. Has anybody heard of the Lost Dog Trapping Team? Yeah. Yeah, I have. Yeah. So, what do? Well, we help people like yourself when they've lost their dogs. Primarily advice, so we'll talk to people, advise on what to do. It's a scary time, right? When you lose your dog, you kind of go out your mind a little bit, so you don't really know what you're doing. We help people reunite with their dogs that have been missing for 15 minutes, dogs that have been missing for 15 hours, dogs that have been missing for 15 days and longer. So, what would you do if you lost your dog? Well, the first thing to do, because funnily enough, if you might think you've lost your dog, you might not have done. So, I think the best not lost dog story was the dog had managed to get itself trapped in a settee, and the owners were absolutely frantic, searching, organised a search party. Where's this dog? Looking for hours. The dog's at home inside the settee. Ridiculous. So, like, the first message is, if you think you've lost your dog, make sure that you've checked everywhere at home. If you're at home, don't think that they can't have found somewhere to hide. Don't think that they can't have got into a place that they haven't got before, because they often can. And the next question, what would you do if you saw a lost dog? Get it on a lead. It's a good shout. If you can. Dogs will go into after a short period of time, dogs will go into what we call survival mode. So, has anybody heard of survival mode in dogs? No. So survival mode is basically a mode of panic. They switch back to their own natural instincts, and they see people, they see things that they would normally think of as safe and helpful to them as possibly predatory. So a person that they might normally come to and think, oh, I'll get a treat off that person, they'll think, actually, that person could hurt me, and they'll turn and run from them. So absolutely, in the opening moments of a dog becoming lost, you could get a lead on them. Past a short period of time, which is dependent entirely on a number of factors, what the dog's personality is like, what the breed is, what their upbringing's been like, whether they're a foreign rescue, all these kinds of things play into how quickly a dog can go into survival mode. But a dog, once it's in survival mode, will not want to come to a human. And the more people that try and get a lead on, which is the absolute natural instinct, the more people will scare that dog. So I've got one of my 4 is a little lurcher girl. She was thrown out on a roundabout. People just didn't want her anymore. She was out for 4.5 days, and it took me 7 hours to trap her, without a lot of the kit that you'll see here that we'll go through in a couple of minutes. But we couldn't get her because people had chased her. and people had tried to get her, and people had chased her in cars and all sorts. And I've seen all kinds of things like that. A 13-year-old spaniel recently chased on an e-bike because people think that it's the right thing to do, and it absolutely isn't. That dog is now more and more scared of you and people in general. So what dogs will try and do is, if they're in this survival mode, they will try and find food, water and shelter. That's their basic instincts to find from over time. That's in their genetics, right? So if they can find food, water, shelter and avoiding predators, including ourselves, they will settle and they will feel safe. So what we do is we try and keep people from chasing, from calling, from screaming at the dogs, because we know that that's not going to be helpful for them in their state of mind. And we try and set up these set of circumstances. So we set up what we call feed stations. So we'll drop food for them, and we'll set up cameras, which we have enabled with mobile internet. And what we can do then is we can entice the dog to an area that they're going to feel safe in. And when they feel safe in that area, they'll stay in that area. And we tend to keep that sort of thing away from social media, because otherwise lots of people will think, that's where the dog is. I'll go to where the dog is and I'll try and get the dog. And that's the last thing that we want, because as we talked about, we know that they're scared. And we know because only these guys before food are faster than their dog. So nobody's going to be able to get hold of their dog, right? So that's what we try and achieve, is to work with the dog's frame of mind to set up a set of circumstances where they're going to start to feel safe and they're going to start to want to be in that area and stay in that area. So we try and keep that kind of set. If you do see a dog that's lost, the best thing to do is sit down. So you sit down on the floor, the dog sees you as much less of a threat. They actually start to become curious about what's this person doing, and you'll see that if you go and sit down next to a dog, they'll be more interested in you than if you stood over it doing that, which most people I guess here know. But really important to know that, because a dog that is in survival mode, is worried about predators, will start to make poorer decisions than they might otherwise. If you try and chase a dog that's already scared, it will run from you, and it will think less about the environment that it's running towards. So it could be running towards a busy road, it could be running towards a railway line, and it won't be thinking about that, it will be thinking about, I need to get away from this predator behind me. So that's incredibly important. Please don't ever chase a dog that's lost. The next thing to do, I think I mentioned around the advice, but we use social media quite a lot. So making sure that people are aware of the dog, but also not to try and follow the protocol that I just spoke about, not to chase, not to harass the dog, but to let the owners know where that dog is. So sightings are key, that we can then go and set up this equipment, get the right things in place to get that dog home safe. If a dog goes missing from home, the chances are it will try and go back home. So we've seen dogs, even foreign rescues that have been to a home once, gone out and they'll come back. They will come back, and it's really important that somebody stays. If you lose your dog, somebody stays at home, so that if they do go back, there's somebody there to welcome them in. Very quietly, keep the door open, and they'll try and come back in. If they go back and there's nobody there, they'll think, this isn't a welcoming place for me anymore, particularly if the neighbours try and grab the dog, and they'll try and they'll go, and they may not then come back. If you're out on a walk and you lose your dog, really important, again, the dog will try to go back to one of two places. If it's close to home, it'll try and go back home. Otherwise, if it gets lost, it will try and come back to you at the last place that it felt safe with you. So where you were on the walk the last time that the dog saw you, or the last time that the dogs saw you, or you saw the dog. Try and get somebody to stay there that the dog knows, because they'll try and go back there, or try and go back to your car where your car was parked. It's incredible the amount of dogs that will go back to a car, and we get people to go back to where they parked because the first instinct is, I'll jump in my car and I'll start driving around and seeing if I can see the dog. Actually, the dog's also looking for you, and if it gets to the place where you were parked and you're not there, again, it will go. There was a dog in, if anybody knows where Saltburn is, there was, the owners were from Leeds, this dog called Pablo. They'd gone to Saltburn for the day from Leeds. They'd done exactly that. They were parked up and they started driving round. We got involved about 8 hours into the dog being missing when we found out. The owner had gone back to Leeds to sort a couple of things out, then came back. And I went to where he'd been parked, saved his parking space, got him to park there. And within 15 minutes of him being back there with his engine running, which is what we'd asked him to do, Pablo turned up straight away. And he'd been out for 8 hours. There was people with torches searching for him because it had got late. And it was as simple as that. The dog came to him and was absolutely desperate to see his owner. But he was being chased. Torches, when it gets dark, we can't see, right? Dogs can a bit better than us, but the thing with torches is a big bright white torch is really scary to a dog. It's probably scary to us if someone just turned up and started shining a massive white torch in our face, and that's what people do, see, because we can't see in the dark, right? So people are wandering around fields and searching in bushes and shining torches in dogs' faces, and it's really scary for them. We use red torches because there's something different about the optical nerves of a dog. I'm not a medical person, but there's something different about the way that a dog perceives red light versus white light, and they're much less scared of it. So another hint there, if you see people searching for a dog with bright white torches, ask them not to, because it's really unhelpful. And as we saw with Pablo, it's actually unnecessary. Just following really simple advice will get that dog back. And it avoids the dog again having to make those bad decisions that I talked about earlier and being scared into railways or roads. We use drones, so if we need to search wide areas of space, we can use drones, which can very quickly find a dog. We've got thermal imaging drones, so we can pick out heat signatures where a dog might be. And we've got what we call super traps, which are probably twice the length of this table, half the width again. They've got laser sensors on them, they're remote controlled, and we basically fill the trap at one end with food. The dog will be alerted to the fact that there's food in the trap because their noses are amazing, right? They'll come into the trap, we'll remotely set that trap off, door shuts, and the dog's safe. We have to get there fairly quickly because some dogs are not happy about being trapped, so they can get stressed, but we get them in and we get them safe that way. And then scented items. So again, dogs' noses are amazing, right? So there was a German Shepherd in Trimden, if anyone knows Trimden, not too far down the road from here. He was out for a day and a half. Within 30 minutes of getting his owner's scented items, because his owner had sadly very recently passed away, but within 30 minutes of getting his owner's scented items to the place where he was staying, Titan came to the trap and was trapped within 30 minutes. He'd been out for a day and a half before that, sighted all over, nobody could get anywhere near him. The poor lad was terrified, but he knew his owner's smell and he went there. He's thankfully now rehomed as well, which is great. We helped with that, so we'll work with local rescues if we manage to trap a dog that the owner isn't known as well. So Titan's now at home. So I guess to kind of summarise, if you lose your dog, try and get someone to stay at the last point that the dog was seen at. Ask someone to stay at the home address. Call the local dog warden, make sure that it's reported. Make sure that there's awareness out there from the dog warden and any local kennels and any local vets. Inform your microchip company that your pet's been lost or stolen. It's really important. Has everybody checked their microchips recently?
For donations?
Yes, please. Thank you very, very much. Has everyone checked their dog's microchip recently? No? I can check it for you if you want after this. And we can let's not do it during the speech. But really important, because if your dog's chip becomes mislocated, if it goes faulty, if the chip company, which they can do and they have done in the past, have lost your details and aren't carrying the right details for your pet, you might not get them back. And I've actually been to a dog close to me near Redcar, and that dog's chip was mixed up with another one of their litter mates, and the dog, they thought this dog was in the Lake District somewhere. It was actually on the East Coast, and vice versa. So it's always worth sort of taking your dog to your vets. Or like I say, I can check for a chip. We've got a tent just the other side of that toilet block there, so if anybody wants the chip checked, I'll go over there after this. The last couple of points, ring your local kennels, register on Dog Lost. There's good and bad with Dog Lost, so it's a great service, but there are criminals that watch Dog Lost. So if you lose your dog, there are criminals that will watch for a dog being lost, and they will ring you and say, I've got your dog, give me £1,000. And we've seen people scammed out of not small amounts of money. And get a tag on your dog, because it's by far and away the quickest and easiest way of getting your dog returned to you if somebody picks it up. If anybody doesn't have a tag, Apple eye tags, trackers, absolutely amazing. Yeah, they could be taken off. Yeah. Attractive do an even better tracker, but the Apple AirTags are amazing. I've got one on all of my dogs. Great pieces of kit. So yeah, that's it. Any questions